ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथां वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So I'd like to welcome all of you all to Gita classes. We are on chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita, which is entitled as Action in Krishna Consciousness. And so far we have seen the first 3 sections of the 5th chapter, and today we're going to see the last section, which is the peace formula. So this is probably the last session on the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and this particular verse that we are going to discuss today mainly is a verse that is considered to be one of the very important verses of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, it's the verse that is quoted very often in peace conferences and wherever there is need for world peace. Of course, it may be quoted but not necessarily followed, So therefore we find that because people don't live by this verse, we don't find peace around. And in this verse, Krishna actually talks about 3 things that can bring peace in our lives and in society. Translation: a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor, well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So essentially, Krishna is talking about 3 things in this verse, which results in Shanti Mrichati, results in peace. The first thing he says is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, that knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities. Yajna means sacrifices and tapasa means austerities. Bhokta means I am the beneficiary, I am the enjoyer. Second quality that Krishna speaks about is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram, understanding that Krishna is the supreme lord of all planets and demigods. Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. And Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam. Suhrid means friend, benefactor. And so basically Krishna is saying, I am the friend and well-wisher of all living entities. So what is the way to attain peace? If somebody knows these 3 things, he knows that Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and yajnas. If he knows that the whole entire world, all planets and all demigods belong to Krishna, he is the owner or the supreme lord of all. And the third thing is, he is a well-wisher and friend of all living entities. So a person who is having full consciousness that Krishna is having all these three, such a person can be internally very peaceful. So one of the reasons why we don't have peace in our life is because we have all desires to enjoy ourselves. The moment we realize or accept, understand that Krishna is the only enjoyer, we are not the enjoyers, person becomes very peaceful. So sometimes our desires are so strong and so powerful, it becomes very difficult to actually have mental peace in front of all these desires. One time, one lady, she found a Aladdin lamp, and she rubbed the lamp and a genie came out, and the genie asked her, ask for any wish. And this lady, she said, make peace in the Middle East countries. This man said, impossible. Tell me some other wish, So this lady said, I've been looking for a life partner who is perfect, handsome, affectionate, rich, takes care of me, takes care of the children, never questions me ever. So he said, I can do the first one. It's very tough, but I can at least try that. Because everyone is looking for external peace when internally being very agitated. So this combination of the two is very difficult. And therefore, Krishna begins by saying that you will become peaceful the moment you understand that you don't own anything. Krishna is the enjoyer, Krishna is the owner of everything. Now, what is the meaning of peace? So, our understanding of peace is very external, because we have like a romantic utopian idea of what peace is. One time there was a king who organized a painting competition, and he asked everybody, all the best painters in the village, to assemble together for a painting competition. And they kind of selected a group of 5 or 6 people who were like really the best. And out of the whole lot, finally 2 paintings were selected to be the best paintings in the entire village. And the king, he had asked all of them to paint a scenery which according to them indicated peace. So he said, paint peace. Now how do you paint peace? So different people had different imaginations. And finally the 2 won. The first fellow who won, his painting was a lakeside, next to a mountain, beautiful sunrise, birds chirping, nice, nice clouds, flowery trees. That was his idea of what peace meant. And the second fellow who also was selected, he drew the same similar scene, lake, mountain, there was clouds were there, but this was a little distorted in the sense, heavy thunderstorm, the lake was, having so many ripples, water falling. There's a big waterfall on one side of the lake from the mountain, and birds were like, drying, running, full action. Now, between the two, which really looks like peace? The first one naturally looks like a more peaceful scene. But interestingly, the king chose the second one. So he was asked, what's wrong with you? This doesn't look anywhere like a peaceful scene. Why did you choose this? He gave a very interesting answer. The king said, if you look at the painting very carefully, look what is there behind the waterfall. So this painter, what he had done was, he had made this whole scene, but the most important part of the scene was behind the waterfall. So it was a huge waterfall, a lot of noise, and it was quite a messy place. But just behind the waterfall, there was a small gap, in which there was a bird which had a nest, and the bird was feeding its baby. So the king said, his understanding of peace means everything around is chaotic, but in spite of everything around being chaotic, you are stable. That's the concept of peace. So most people want peace where everything is peaceful, and then I become peaceful. So Krishna's definition of peace is very different. The actual definition of peace is very different. Everything external is chaotic, but still I am very stable. By knowing these three things. So there are two peace destroyers in this world. One is the mood that I am the enjoyer, where there is a concept of control. And the second, that I am the owner. There is a concept of possession. So the most important motivators in the world, the two most powerful motivators in this world are possess and enjoy. And the reason why people want to possess and want to enjoy is because there is a great hope that possessing something and enjoying will give us happiness, and it will give us peace. The Ishopanishad, which is one of the most powerful Upanishads as far as today's practical application is concerned, has a mantra which actually talks about what really is possession. This verse says, Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincham jagatyam jagat tena tektena bhunjita magrada kshayasvidhanam. This verse says that Ishavasyam idam sarvam, everything in this world, animate or inanimate, is controlled and owned by the Lord. Ishavasyam, this is called. And it says that Ishavasyam jagat sarvam, the whole world, and yatkinchi jagatyam jagat tena tektena bhunjita. And it says that everyone who is living in this world should only accept that much which is needed for his necessities, and consider that to be his quota, and should not accept other things, knowing well whom they belong to. So essentially what Krishna is saying, what this Upanishad is saying is that everything in this world belongs to Krishna. What you need, take that much, use it, whatever your necessity is. Don't hoard too much. Don't hoard beyond your capacity to enjoy, to utilize in today's life. This seems to be a very simple verse, but it is a very profound verse. Just put your intelligence, put your thought into it. Do we actually follow this? Do we actually live by this? Do we actually even think that this is right? This verse says, you only accept that much which is set aside for your quota. The last honest politician in India, there was a very interesting story about Lal Bahadur Shastri. When his friend, he came to him and asked him for a loan. He said, can you give me a loan of 1,000 rupees? At that point of time, 1,000 rupees was quite a lot. So he said, my salary, monthly salary every month is 300, and I give my salary to my wife. And practically what is my salary is enough to just meet our expenses. I don't have any extra money to give you a loan. So this man went away sad, and then eventually he met Lal Bahadur Shastri's wife. And she told him, I have saved some money, I'll give you. And she actually gave him 1,000 rupees. Now when Lal Bahadur Shastri came to know that, his wife had saved 1,000 rupees from his salary of 300, he asked her, how much do we actually utilize every month? And she said 200. He wrote a letter to the government saying that my actual need is only 200. Kindly reduce my salary to 200. I don't need 300. I mean, can you imagine, from there to what has happened now, So there's a big difference, big gulf of difference in India, in the situation of India, the mindset of Indians. Now, how much ever you put in, it seems to be, less, So therefore, this verse, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, at least wherever we can apply, we should. We may not be talking about this verse in terms of salaries or, whatever savings we do or whatever. There are too many things that we actually don't need. Like for example, clothes. For example, the unnecessary necessities of life, what do you call it? So wherever we can, we should think that ultimately everything belongs to the Lord only. I only take my quota and be satisfied. Because anyway, after you are no more, it's not that you're going to take everything that you have bought in your life. Everything is going to be left behind only. So here, the concept of peace is connected with the concept of your consciousness. What is the purpose for which you live life? The Srimad Bhagavatam talks about a very interesting concept which is known as Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. That means the purpose of living has to be to satisfy the Lord. Haritoshanam, to satisfy, to make the Lord happy. That means whatever your occupation may be, whatever your lifestyle may be, whatever your mind, your livelihood, source of livelihood may be, the essence of everything, all occupation, all engagement, all actions in our life should be performed in such a way that it makes Krishna happy in the end. That's the formula for peace in this world. Unfortunately for us, we don't think in this way. What we think is, what will make me happy? That's our main question. Our main question is, we're not concerned about Krishna's happiness. We're not concerned about Krishna's satisfaction. We're concerned about our satisfaction. We're concerned about our happiness. Therefore, when Krishna is saying Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, means understand that Krishna is the enjoyer. In today's world, when people see pictures of Krishna on a swing, Krishna dancing with the gopis, Ras Leela, the main thought that comes in mind is how that person is so lucky, he's getting to enjoy so much, Immediately there is envy in the mind. Immediately there is a thought of, imitating. So the more you are focused on the fact that I am the enjoyer, the less peaceful you will be. The more I think that I want to enjoy, the more agitated the mind will be. So this concept of aham is what Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam talks about, the first section of this verse. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, all the scriptures talk about watering the root of the tree. If Krishna is satisfied, everybody else is satisfied. In the Mahabharata, we find Duryodhana sending Durvas Muni to the Pandavas. And in that story, there is a very interesting point that really is the essence of that story. The point which is the essence of the story is that till Krishna comes into the lives of the Pandavas, till the Pandavas are thinking that I need to make arrangements for Durvas Muni's meal. So they are all in the thought process that I need to control, I need to function, I need to work, I need to provide. That is the thought process the Pandavas are having. At some point, after they try their best, they realize that I can't solve this problem. That point of time, Draupadi starts taking shelter of Krishna, and as soon as Draupadi takes shelter of Krishna, Krishna comes over there. And then Krishna asks her for something to eat. So Draupadi is even more disturbed. So apparently when Krishna comes to solve our problems, he may create a new problem. But every time Krishna creates a new problem in our life, that new problem will solve our old problem first. So whenever Krishna comes, in whatever form he comes, we should accept him. Sometimes Krishna may come in the form of a problem. So when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die in 7 days and 7 nights, Parikshit, he, at the end of the 7 days of Bhagavad Katha, after hearing Bhagavad Katha for 7 days and 7 nights, his thought process, his mindset was, he was telling the Lord, my dear Lord, please come into my life in any form. And he said, you come into my life in the form of the curse. Dvija Shapa Rupam. Now, Krishna's incarnations, many people think that there are only 10 incarnations of Krishna. Actually, the Bhagavatam explains that the number of incarnations of Krishna is like the number of waves in an ocean. Unlimited. There is no count. In fact, Krishna takes an incarnation for every devotee in a special way. From Parikshit Maharaj's point of view, he's saying, you are coming to my life in the form of this curse. Dvija Shapa Rupam. Dvija means Brahmana. Shapa means curse. You have come into my life in the form of this curse. So Parikshit could visualize the curse as a incarnation of Krishna. What does Krishna coming into our life essentially mean? Krishna coming into our life not necessarily means taking like a full-fledged incarnation like that. Krishna he can come into our life in any form. So when he came into into Draupadi's life, he asked her, he created a new problem. So Draupadi gave him the Akshay Patra and she said, this Patra will not produce anything, I don't have anything. And then Krishna found one grain in that. And he took it and he ate that one grain of rice. And as soon as Krishna ate that one grain of rice, practically Dhruva's Muni and the 60,000 disciples that he had, all of them started burping, all of them started belching. They were like full, completely full. Yasmin tushtam, jagat tushtam. When you satisfy the heart of Krishna, when you satisfy Krishna, samsiddhir haritoshanam. When you satisfy Krishna, you can satisfy the entire world. But if you try to satisfy the entire world, it's not possible also. And even if you manage to satisfy, that doesn't mean you're actually trying to satisfy Krishna. It doesn't work like that. And in fact, we have all seen it. We have tried our best to satisfy our own family members. Hardly it's possible, Hardly possible to satisfy our husbands, children, wives, absolutely, maids. You can't satisfy anybody in this world. What to speak of satisfying the entire world, So, the peace formula is, so the reason our mind is agitated is because on one level we are trying to enjoy the world, one level we are trying to enjoy everyone in this world for satisfying my desires. On another level we are trying to satisfy everybody. We are trying to satisfy everybody's desires. So neither can we fulfill our desires, nor are we qualified and capable of fulfilling somebody else's desires. And naturally you will be disturbed in your mind. So in the life of Tukaram Maharaj, we find that Tukaram, he lived such a life that practically he survived on the holy names only. So Tukaram's wife, she would not eat without her husband eating. So every day Tukaram would go and sit on a mountain and chant the holy names. And his wife had no idea which mountain. There were 4 mountains in that area. So she found an innovative way of finding out which mountain he is in. You know what she would do? She would go to the base of every mountain and she would pick up a stone from the base of the mountain and put it in her ears. If the stone has vibrations of the holy name, if she can hear the holy name when she puts the stone in her ears, she knows Tukaram was on that mountain. So you can imagine the entire mountain will be reverberating with the chanting of the holy names of Tukaram. So one time she found the mountain on which she was, and she was climbing up. Suddenly a thorn pricked her leg, and she was in agony because she was carrying the food items in her hand, and she was not able to bend down to remove the thorn. Suddenly Vitthal, the Supreme Lord himself came, and he was bending down to pick the thorn from this lady's feet, and she was so disgusted with Vitthal, because she had a very different type of rasa with Vitthal. She hated him because she considered Vitthal to be the one who took her husband away from her. So she turned her face away from Vitthal. She said, I will not see you. So Vitthal came the other side also. So she turned her face away. Whichever direction he was saying, Vitthal was running around her. And then finally she closed her eyes, and Vitthal came in her heart also. And he said, I am also in the same situation like you. I am also in search of your husband. You are also in search of your husband. We both will go together and find him. So Tukaram Maharaj's prayer was very interesting. How he would pray to the Lord. This actually shows the mood of a good devotee who understands this concept that Krishna is the enjoyer. But when we consider Krishna to be the enjoyer, there are some fringe benefits which Tukaram Maharaj highlights in his poetry. He gives 3 analogies. He says a lotus flower can never taste its own nectar. A bumblebee tastes the nectar inside a lotus flower. Now we never find a lotus flower tasting its own nectar. The lotus flower never understands what nectar it contains. Similarly, a cow eats grass and it produces nectarian milk. The cow can never taste its own milk. The calf gets to taste its own milk. And an oyster, it produces beautiful pearls. But the oyster can never enjoy its own pearl. The human beings enjoy the pearl of the oyster. So he says, similarly, the Lord's holy names, the Lord can never enjoy. The devotees enjoy, So he's saying we are more fortunate than the Lord. So here, on one level, Krishna is saying the way to become peaceful, have peace formula is Bhoktaram, understand that Krishna is the enjoyer. But when you understand that Krishna is the enjoyer, it also means that you get enjoyment in a different way. It's not that there is no enjoyment, but it is enjoyment that is allowed, that is encouraged, that is in fact needed. So in the Chaitanya Leela, there is a very interesting verse that talks about that very interesting story that really brings out this concept of Bhoktaram Yajñatapasam, that God is the real enjoyer, and the more we, rather than trying to enjoy ourselves, facilitate God's enjoyment, we will be also peaceful and we will also be able to enjoy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had many associates, and one of his most prominent associates was Haridas Thakur, who was actually a Mohammedan. He was born in a Mohammedan family, but he was considered to be the Namacharya. And can you imagine, he was every day, Haridas Thakur, though he was born in a Muslim family, but he had such a deep connection with Krishna, Krishna's holy names, that every day he would chant 192 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. 192. That would take about 22 hours to chant. So by the time he would finish his one day's chanting, next day's chanting will start. 2 hours of sleep, 2 hours everything else he would do. Can you imagine what kind of taste he had? And it's not that, he was forced to do it or something like that. He loved to do it. He was happy to do it. Some of our devotees tried once, chanting 192 rounds. After once you finish the 192 rounds, you don't want to see the feedback for a few days. Such an intense, experience. We don't have taste. We have absolutely no taste of holy name, and we artificially try to do it. We will end up suffering like anything, like indigestion. Too much to handle. Anyways, so Haridas Thakur was one of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, and there was another personality named Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are Krishna Balaram incarnated in Kali Yuga. Nityananda Prabhu is Balramji and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he at one point he gave instruction to Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. He said, "Jare deko tare koho Krishna Upades." He told them, go to every house, every town, every village, every house, and every person you catch, you tell that person to chant the holy names. And he said, fall at their feet, beg from them, somehow or the other make them chant the holy names. So Mahaprabhu gave an instruction, and Haridas Thakur and Nityananda Prabhu enthusiastically they were going around and telling everybody, whoever they meeting, chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And literally thousands and thousands of people were chanting the holy names. So at one point they came to a place where there was a lot of commotion going on, really some kind of a street fight, and people are gathered around to see what's happening. And they saw what the commotion was. There were two people who were powerful wrestlers, huge looking and powerful muscles, and both were drunk to the brim, and both of them were fighting with each other and beating each other. And Nityananda Prabhu, when he saw these two drunkards, he said, this is the right candidate to give the holy name. Mahaprabhu will be very happy if these people become devotees. Anybody can become a devotee, but if the most fallen person becomes a devotee, everybody else gets hope. Like sometimes when you preach in colleges, you make the gunda of the college a devotee, then everybody will say miracle ho gaya. Sab log devotee banna chahenge, na? Like that. So that is the idea that Nityananda Prabhu decided to utilize. So Haridas Thakur warned him. He said, don't go to these people, are very dangerous. Nityananda Prabhu went. And when Jagai and Madai, they saw these two people coming towards them, saw dressed as sadhus, and Nityananda Prabhu started begging them. He said, please chant the holy names. At least once you chant. So Nityananda was really in the mood of begging. And when Jagai and Madai, they saw that they're trying to preach to them, trying to make them chant the holy names, Jagai and Madai got really angry. These people, they were known as Jagai and Madai, They were actually born in Brahmanical families. Their original name was Jagadananda and Madhavananda. But then they somehow got into the wrong association and they became Jagai Madai. Something like a Munnabai story of, 500 years before. So they were so angered that Nityananda came and is instructing them to chant the holy names, So they actually started running after them to beat them up, to kill them. And somehow Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, they ran away, And Haridas Thakur was telling Nityananda Prabhu, I made a big mistake with coming with you, I shouldn't have come with you only. You're a mad person, going to anybody and telling him to chant the holy names. And Nityananda Prabhu told him that I am not mad, our master is mad. Mahaprabhu, he is the one who gave us his instruction. Who told him to give such an instruction? So I am just following his instruction. And then finally they escaped somehow or the other. Another occasion, at another time, they found these two people. And Nityananda again enthusiastically decided, let me go and preach. And this time when he went and actually started preaching to Jagai and Madai, he fell at the feet of Jagai and Madai and started begging them, please chant the holy names of the Lord. And at that point of time, Madai, he got so angry at Nityananda Prabhu that he actually took a pot of liquor that he had and he hit on the head of Nityananda Prabhu. And the pot broke, his head started bleeding. But in spite of that, Nityananda Prabhu is begging him to chant the holy names. So by this time, Mahaprabhu already came to know about this, that his associate Nityananda Prabhu is hit by Madai. Mahaprabhu actually came with his Sudarshan Chakra to destroy Jagai and Madai. He actually manifested Krishna's form and showed the Sudarshan Chakra to destroy. And as soon as Jagai and Madai, they saw this huge, powerful form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagai fell at Mahaprabhu's feet, started begging forgiveness. He said, please forgive me, I will change myself. And Nityananda Prabhu, he was so merciful, he told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you should actually forgive Jagai because he saved my life. Madai, he wanted to hit me a second time and Jagai told him not to hit. So Mahaprabhu was so compassionate, he said, you saved Nityananda Prabhu's life, I'll forgive you. And he gave him Krishna Prem. And Madai, he realized that my friend has got Krishna Prem. And he said, we are partners in everything. We drink together, we should get mercy also together. But he said, you have hit Nityananda Prabhu, I will not give you mercy. And actually fell at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet, started begging forgiveness. And then finally he requested Nityananda Prabhu also. And Nityananda Prabhu forgave him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually decided to forgive. At some point, Madai and Jagai, they went through a heart transformation. And they decided to give up all their bad habits. And they actually wanted to become devotees. But the problem now was that they wanted to become devotees, but will the people of society accept them? Because they were people who have actually ransacked so many people's houses, raped so many women. They have actually, beaten up so many people, killed so many people's relatives. They were thinking, will the society accept us if we become devotees suddenly? Mahaprabhu said, he gave an idea to them. He told them that, he told Madai specifically, that you go to the Ganga, to the banks of Ganga and make a ghat with your own hands. And make the most beautiful ghat on the Ganga with your own hands. And let every person in the town of Navadip come to you only, to your ghat only to bathe and to wash their utensils and all. And you sit over there, stand over there, and you serve everyone who comes. Because Madai's problem was, he didn't know whom he had offended, whom he had harmed and whom he had not harmed. Because he was quite impartial in this, in harming people. He harmed anybody, So when Mahaprabhu said that, Madai actually constructed a ghat with his own hands. So much hard work. And when people would come to the ghat started becoming really popular. And everyone who would come there, Madai would actually take their clothes, wash their clothes for them, wash their utensils for them, really serving them menially. And there were some people who were really hated Jagai and Madai, especially those whose sisters or wives were raped by Madai and Jagai. So they would take a stone and hit on the head, because now Madai and Jagai, they have become docile. Jagai and Madai, they would pick up the stone again, give it back to them. They would say, hit us more. We deserve much more than this because we have given you so much pain. Seeing the transformation of Jagai and Madai's heart, actually people started realizing that the holy name has transformed their heart completely. And from that point onwards, Jagai and Madai, they were accepted as great devotees. And people actually started respecting Jagai and Madai as devotees of the Lord. So this transformation from being dacoits to becoming pure devotees is a transformation from being bhoktas, thinking that you are the enjoyer, to bhoktaram yagyatapasam, to thinking that Krishna is the enjoyer. As long as you think that you are the enjoyer, there is struggle. There is struggle, there is a lot of anxiety to try to acquire property, acquire wealth, acquire sources of enjoyment. But the moment you realize that you are not the enjoyer, Krishna is the enjoyer, you immediately become peaceful. You need a certain quota to be given to you, and once you get your quota, once your needs are taken care of, you can be peaceful. Unfortunately today, people don't think like this. They cannot think about their needs, they only think about their wants. So the first aspect of peace formula is understand that Krishna is the enjoyer. The second aspect of the peace formula is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. When I think that something is mine, if what I have, what I think is mine, is taken away by force, then I become very miserable. Suppose I own some property. I'm wearing a gold chain walking on the street, and I think this gold chain is mine, naturally. If a thief comes and steals the gold chain and runs away, you become miserable. Because you have this strong conviction this gold chain is mine. So the more we think anything is mine, when it is taken away, there is a lot of misery. Same thing when it comes to relatives, friends, family members. When you feel that this person is mine, he belongs to me, she belongs to me. The moment that person is taken away from me, you become miserable. Here, Krishna is saying, the peace formula, the way to be peaceful is Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. Everything belongs to Krishna only. Nothing belongs to me. So, when you think that everything is God's, when it is taken away from you, it is never mine. So why do I need to be unhappy? Why do I need to be sad? Because the sadness comes when proprietorship comes. One fellow, he had a nice house, and he was planning to sell that house. So somehow, when the transaction and all was going on, the house caught fire, burning like anything. The house was burning. So this man came and stood in front of the house crying, tears like anything. And exactly at that time, his son came running to him and told him, we had already sold it yesterday. The documents were signed. Now it doesn't belong to us. Immediately he started laughing. He started smiling, The house is still burning. It's not that the burn stopped. But now the property doesn't belong to me. So why should I cry? And after some time, the second son came and he said, though the documents were signed, the actual transaction, the registration didn't happen. So the property belongs to us only, So again he started crying, So he was saying, now the property belongs to me, so it's my loss. Then a third son came. He said, the owner who bought the property from us, he's a very honest fellow. So he said, when we signed the paper, it was yours. But once the paper was signed, I have accepted it, so it is my loss now. This man started smiling again, Same property, still burning only, but one moment he is thinking it is mine, another moment he is thinking not mine, then third moment he is thinking it's mine. So the moment you think it is mine, you start crying if you lose it. The moment you realize, or you understand that it is never mine, what is there to cry when you lose it? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is this concept is very graphically shown when Indra, the king of the demigods, he offends Brihaspati, his guru, and as a result of the whole thing, the demigods lose power, and Bali Maharaj and all the demons, they become powerful. And Bali Maharaj comes and captures the heavens. Now Indra is having no place to stay. The demigods are all thrown away from their palaces, so they are all bewildered, and they come to Vishnu and they tell Lord Vishnu, please help us. Lord Vishnu takes the form of Vamanadev and he comes to Bali Maharaj's yajna. When he comes to Bali Maharaj's yajna, he asks Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj is very happy that a Brahmana has come, and he asks Bali Maharaj for 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj says, you take anything. So he says, give me only 3 steps of land. So Bali Maharaj starts laughing. He says, you are such a small boy. Vamanadev was a dwarf, So when Krishna comes, he may disguise himself in a form which seems helpless. But if you underestimate him just because of size, there are a lot of problems. So Vamanadev, he said that if somebody is not satisfied with 3 steps of land, he will never be satisfied if he gets the entire universe also. Very thoughtful. So Bali Maharaj, he agreed to give him 3 steps of land. He offered him promised him 3 steps of land. And Vamanadev with 2 steps, he occupied the entire universe, everything that Bali owned. And he said, where do I keep the 3rd step? Bali Maharaj said, keep on my head. Many people, the acharyas talk in 2 ways. Some acharyas say that Bali Maharaj, when he offered his head to Vamanadev, they say that he surrendered completely, Atma Nivedanam, he surrendered himself completely. But other acharyas say Bali Maharaj made a mistake by offering his head, as a 3rd step, because he felt his body belongs to him, and that was a mistake. Actually, and that's why when Bali Maharaj offered his head, and Vamanadev kept his 3rd feet on the head of Bali Maharaj, as soon as he kept the feet on, so the 3 steps of land were taken care of, Vamanadev immediately told him, bind him up. So Bali was tied up with ropes, like a prisoner, Why did Vamanadev tie up Bali? Because Bali was thinking that the body belongs to him. He owns something. Vamanadev wanted to show that we actually own nothing, including our body. It already belongs to Krishna only. So what we are surrendering, we have to surrender the thought that we are the owner. The thought that I am the proprietor. That thought we have to surrender to the Lord. So this thinking in terms of mine and yours is a disease of the material world. A devotee thinks 1 step higher. He doesn't talk in terms of mine and yours, he talks in terms of Krishna's. The property is neither yours nor mine, it is Krishna's. Whatever we own is neither yours nor mine. Disputes in property come because the question is who is the owner. The actual understanding is, the Bhagavatam has said nobody is the owner. Bali Maharaj right now is the owner. He seems to own the whole universe. And sometime before, Indra seems to be the owner. After Bali, he is also not the owner. Indra also is not the owner. None of them are owners. The moment you come to this realization that you are not the owner, you are not the proprietor, but Krishna is the proprietor. At max, I am the caretaker. A dog does not think the things of the master are his. The dog knows I am only caretaking for the master. A devotee is like a dog, loyal. He doesn't think the property of Krishna is mine. Today, servants, no matter how loyal they are, they take something for themselves, little extra beyond what is their share. In Sri Sampradaya in South India, there's a very interesting story about one man who gets transformed from being a wrestler. Actually, he was a very, very lusty type of person. He gets transformed and he becomes a nice devotee. He gets married to the same lady whom he was, loving, and Ramanujacharya, who is the Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, he actually makes an arrangement in such a way that he gets to do some seva in the temple. So this man, his name was Dhanurdas. So Dhanurdas, he started staying around the vicinity of the temple, doing some seva. His life was completely changed. From being a total materialistic person, he became a complete pure-hearted devotee. Along with his wife, they started serving Ramanujacharya and doing taking a lot of responsibilities. So Ramanujacharya would give him a lot of importance, and to such an extent that Ramanujacharya, when he would go to have a bath in the river, he would take with him two disciples of his. One was Dasharati. Dasharati was a very big scholar, Brahmana, great scholar, he was the guru himself. And second was Dhanurdas. This person was like born in a low class family, very, very illiterate, a simple man. And Ramanujacharya would do something very interesting which totally bewildered his disciples, all his sannyas disciples. What he would do was, when he would enter the river, he would take the help of Dasharati, this Brahmana, this pure person. He would take his help and go into the river, have a bath. And after finishing bath, he would hold hand of Dhanurdas and come out. Now all the smarta Brahmanas and the sannyasis, the brahmacharis living in the ashram, they were completely bewildered. He said, what's going on over here? If he holds Dhanurdas' hand while going in, that makes sense. And he has bath and comes out holding a Brahmana's hand. But Ramanujacharya is doing ulta over here, holding Shudra's hand when he is coming out and holding Brahmana's hand when he is going in. They were confused. Why special treatment for Dhanurdas, and why Ramanujacharya is considering him to be such a pure person? Ramanujacharya understood the mood of the disciples, how the disciples are thinking and what their mindset is. One day, what he did was, when the disciples were sleeping in the night, he got up in the middle of the night, Ramanujacharya, and he exchanged all the dhotis and all the garments of his disciples. He put them here and there, and many of them he tore. So it was like, the next day morning, when everybody got up, nobody was able to find their own dhoti, and people's dhotis were torn, the kopins were torn. It was like quite a mess. So they started getting so irritated, they started fighting with each other and literally abusing each other for, tearing their dhoti and kopins. Ramanujacharya, at some point that day, he told many of his disciples that I want to test Dhanurdas. And he said, to test Dhanurdas, I want you all to go to his house when Dhanurdas is not there and his wife is sleeping. And I want you to take out the golden jewelry from the wife, the jewelry that the wife is wearing. The disciples were confused, what Ramanujacharya is trying to do. But they said testing Dhanurdas means okay. They were ready to help. So when Dhanurdas was away, they went to remove the jewelry from the wife. The wife, she was awake and she knew that the disciples of Ramanujacharya have come. But she didn't know why they have come and what they're doing in her house when she's alone. But she decided disciples of Ramanujacharya have come means there must be some reason. So she was lying down. And she was lying down on one side of the bed. So slowly these disciples started removing all the jewelry, the earrings, the bangle, like that, on one side of the body they removed. Now they were wondering how to remove from the other side of the body. She realized the predicament, and in her sleep only she pretended to turn around. But the disciples, they got so scared that they ran away. They were thinking that she has woken up. And Ramanujacharya, he told them, when he heard this part of the story, he told them, go back and stand on the window of the house and hear the conversation between Dhanurdas and his wife. So all the disciples went back and they were hiding and hearing how Dhanurdas and his wife were going to react to the robbery. So when Dhanurdas came, As soon as he entered the house, he saw his wife was wearing only half jewelry. So he said, what's going on? And she explained the whole story. Immediately, so she said that I thought maybe if they have come to such a state that they are actually coming to rob in our house, maybe there is nothing in the ashram, no money left in the ashram, so maybe they have come to this situation. So I wanted to help them and turn around slowly. Dhanudas got so angry on his wife, he started shouting at her. He started saying, how dare you disturb them while robbing? You should have been more careful. In fact, you should have made sure they took everything away from you. And he was shouting at her. She said, Dhanudas was telling her, everything we own belongs to our Guru only. Our Guru can take our lives also. What to speak of gold? And he was shouting at her like anything. So when these disciples came and reported this to Ramanujacharya, Ramanujacharya started telling them, just see, what a difference is this. Y'all couldn't handle your kopin and dhoti being torn, and exchanged. That loss of a dhoti and kopin, you're supposed to be renounced people. You're supposed to not own anything and not have any attachments, And even nothing belongs to you, everything belongs to the Guru only. Guru only has given you everything. In spite of that, there is so much attachment. And here are grahasthas who have supposed to be having attachment to gold, who are supposed to be having attachment to wealth. And look at them, what kind of lifestyle they're living and what kind of mindset they have. And that's when these disciples understood what is the meaning of Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, that actually Krishna is the Supreme Lord, He's the proprietor of everything, and representatives of the Supreme Lord is the spiritual master. When this mood is there is no question of loss, there is no question of gain, because anyway loss and gain is not going to affect me because nothing is mine anyways. That's the mood that Krishna is recommending in this verse. And the third thing is Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. So there are different words to describe what a friend is in Sanskrit. And these are different levels of friendship. First level of friendship is known as Bandhu. Bandhu means associate. Some kind of association is there. Higher than associate, higher than Bandhu is the word Sakha. Sakha means friend. And higher than the word Sakha is the word Suhrit. The word Suhrit means well-wishing friend, deep friendship. So Krishna is saying Suhritam Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is not saying Bandhu Sarva Bhutanam. He is not even saying Sakha Sarva. He is saying Suhritam Sarva Bhutanam. He is saying he is the highest well-wishing friend of every living entity. So when we understand that Krishna is our well-wisher, Krishna is our real friend, and Krishna is practically thinking about us, thinking about our welfare, then we easily can connect with Krishna on a deeper level. It is explained when a living entity reaches the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan, what happens there? Just to give you a trailer, a preview of what happens when you reach the spiritual. Suppose one day, by mistake we reach, after all our struggles get over, finally we take spiritual life seriously and we end up spiritual world. What to expect, So Krishna is playing in Golok Vrindavan with all his friends. Thousands of friends playing, and they're having fun. Golok Vrindavan is a big pasturing field. Mountains, rivers, beautiful grass, cows, animals. Krishna is having fun with all his friends. And at that point of time, one living entity reaches Golok Vrindavan and reaches the gate of Golok Vrindavan. As soon as this living entity, new person enters Golok Vrindavan, Krishna stops his play. Completely stops everything and only focuses on this one new person who has come. And Krishna actually runs at full speed towards this new devotee who has come and jumps and embraces him. And Krishna actually sheds tears, welcoming this new person back into the spiritual world. Can you imagine what a welcome this is, And then when Krishna embraces this devotee, then this devotee realizes worth all the effort, worth chanting 16 rounds every day, worth, doing so much tapasya. Tomorrow is Pandav Nirjal Ekadasi. Those who can do Nirjal, that means no drinking water also all day until next day morning. It's austerity. It's not easy. But that one embrace of Krishna, you're saying it's worth all that. Worth all that effort, And when Krishna says that Sridam Sarva Bhutanam, that's what he means. He's not just saying it as a statement. He actually means it. So Krishna protects the devotees in many ways. He protects the words of his devotee. When Prahlad Maharaj, when Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad, where is your God? Is he everywhere? Prahlad said yes. And he said, is he in this pillar also? Prahlad said yes. To protect the words of his devotee, Narasimha appeared in that pillar. Krishna protects devotee's consciousness. Krishna protects a devotee's body. And more than anything else, Krishna protects the devotee's faith. And when we realize that Krishna is actually our well-wishing friend, we tend to develop greater faith in Krishna's presence in our life and Krishna's protection in our life. One time there was a small boy who lived in a village, and every day he would go to school across the forest. So he had to literally cross a whole forest before he reaches his school. And every day while walking through the forest, he was very scared. Wild animals, anything can happen, and he would walk alone. So he went to his mother and asked her that, I'm so scared. What will I do? Mother said, don't worry. Whenever you feel that you're in fear or anxiety or somebody is chasing you, somebody is following you, you call your elder brother. His name is Dina Bandhu. You call out Dina Bandhu and he'll come and help you. The child, he just had innocent faith that mother is whatever she's saying is right. So every day this child would go with great confidence that, Dina Bandhu, my elder brother is there, he's going to help me. One day, the child came to his mother and she said that the teacher has told us to get a gift tomorrow. And all the children are taking different gifts. I also need to take a gift. Then what gift should I take? Mother said, we have nothing. Why don't you ask your brother, Dina Bandhu? He'll give you. So this child, he was so innocent and he had so much faith in mother's words. He went out in the forest the next day while going to school. He started shouting, Dina Bandhu, where are you? Dina Bandhu, where are you? Actually, Krishna appeared in front of him. And Krishna, he gave this child a pot of sweet rice. And this child took that pot of sweet rice and he went to the school. It was a very small pot. So this teacher who saw this pot of sweet rice, he was very upset that everybody got big gifts and this boy got such a small gift. He actually threw that pot of sweet rice in one corner. Naturally very upset that he didn't get much. After he got all the gifts and was very happy, and finally he said, I didn't want to put this child down, so he said, let me taste that sweet rice. When he tasted the sweet rice, he had never ever eaten anything like that in his life. He started distributing the sweet rice to all the children. No matter how much he distributed, that pot was exactly same. Filled only. So he was totally bewildered. He said, who gave you this sweet rice? He said, my brother Dina Bandhu. He said, you don't have any brother only? He said, my brother lives in the forest, he gave me. So then this teacher said, call your brother right now, I want to see him. And this boy started shouting, Dina Bandhu, where are you? And Krishna actually appeared. And this boy, he said, see, my brother is here. The teacher said, what nonsense, I can't see anybody over here. He couldn't see Krishna. And Krishna, he spoke. And this man could hear Krishna's voice. He said, to see me you need faith, like this boy. And anybody who has that kind of faith, I appear in front of such a person. And I am the Dina Bandhu means the best friend, well-wishing friend of the needy. Suridam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shanti mrichyati. That means somebody who understands this, the combination of the three, that Krishna is not just Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam, that means he is not just the enjoyer of all the sacrifices and yajnas and tapasyas, austerities, He's also Surdam Sarvaloka Maheshwar. He's the owner, master of all, everything, including the demigods and the planets. And not just that, he's also the best well-wishing friend. In Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, we find a very interesting story that really brings us out powerfully. When Mahaprabhu was traveling from through the Jharkhand forest, there was a certain section of the forest that very, very intensely filled with wild animals and all kinds of wild creatures. And Mahaprabhu was passing through that forest. Mahaprabhu was warned that there are wild animals over there, there are man-eating tigers over there, please don't go through the forest. And Mahaprabhu was least bothered. All day, all night he would be absorbed in chanting the holy names. And he would be so much absorbed in the holy names that he would forget eating, he would forget drinking, he would forget sleeping also. Sometimes Mahaprabhu would dance, chant for 72 hours at a stretch. No break, no prasad break, no rest and break, nothing. 72 hours at a stretch, singing, dancing, chanting, So Mahaprabhu was completely absorbed when he was chanting the holy names. He didn't know what are the surroundings, nothing. So he went with one of his disciples and he was on the way through the Jharkhand forest. And the disciples told Mahaprabhu, if you see a tiger, don't go to the tiger. Just let the tiger alone. Just continue walking. Mahaprabhu, he was so absorbed in singing and dancing. The kirtan was so tumultuous and he was so absorbed in the holy names that when a tiger would come, he would go and embrace a tiger. He touched every tiger, he touched every deer, he touched every elephant. And whoever Mahaprabhu touched, they started singing and dancing also. The tiger would sing and dance in a tiger style, The elephant would sing and dance in the elephant style. Deers singing and dancing. And it reached such a crescendo that at one place Mahaprabhu was dancing and singing so ecstatically with all these animals participating that actually the deer and the tiger, they started embracing each other. And they actually started kissing each other, Can you imagine deer and tiger? No connection at all whatsoever except prey and predator, That was the power of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. Even till this day, if you go to Jharkhand, some of our devotees, this is in the Bihar area. So if you go to that Jharkhand forest, even to this day, there is one section of the Jharkhand forest where this particular Leela actually happened. And it was a foresty area, but there were many rocks in that area. And when the tigers, deers and elephants and all were dancing and singing there, the rocks actually melted because of Mahaprabhu's Kirtan. And the footprints of these tigers, elephants, they are all embedded on the rock even till today's date. Some of our devotees actually visited that place. Maybe someday we'll go on a yatra over there, and see the footprints, Mahaprabhu's footprints. Next to it, the elephant, next to it, tiger, next to it, deer. Essentially, what this particular Leela pastime indicates that Kali Yuga is a process of, is a time where there is intense quarrel. When people are together, they only fight. One of the things that surprises people is, we go on yatras, huge yatras, 5,000 people go together on yatras, but no fights. Nobody fights with each other. But 5,000 people, how can there be no fights? Here is the proof. Jharkhand forest, Mahaprabhu could make tigers and deers hug each other and not fight. What to speak of tiger and deer like human beings? So we may be a tiger, we may be deer, but in Sankirtan movement we embrace each other. Which essentially means that no matter what your inner nature is, no matter what your inner psychophysical nature may be, but when we do Sankirtan, when we do congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord, at that point, during that duration, there is extreme amount of peace, Shanti. So you will never find a fight happening in Kirtan, and you will never find a fight happening where people are actually chanting the holy names together. And therefore, the formula, the peace formula for which Krishna recommends in this section of the Bhagavad Gita is Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. That means everyone should recognize that the Lord is the enjoyer, the real enjoyer. That will make a person peaceful, because everybody is desiring to be the enjoyers and or to make others enjoy. So neither can we be enjoyers nor we can make others enjoy. But when you understand that actually Krishna is the enjoyer, you become peaceful, because the onus is not on us, either that for our enjoyment or others' enjoyment. Krishna is the real enjoyer. And when we understand that Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Krishna is the real proprietor. If we lose something, we have nothing to lose. We have nothing to cry for, because nothing anyway belongs to us. And if we gain something, there is nothing to be happy about, because nothing anyway belongs to us. We simply caretakers. So in that way we will become peaceful. And Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, that means there is always a great anxiety in the mind, that one of the reasons why people are not peaceful is because everybody is trying to fight with one another, trying to dominate one another, trying to control one another, and naturally there is no peace. When you understand that Krishna is the real friend, well-wishing friend, and not just he's a well-wishing friend of one person, he's a well-wishing friend of everybody. He's the one who actually unites everyone together. So as long as we keep Krishna in the center, just like all these wild animals kept Mahaprabhu and the holy name in the center, they could actually embrace each other in spite of their differences, in spite of their different natures. Similarly, there will be peace in this world if people keep God in the center, the holy names of God in the center, and overcome all their lower natures with the focus on the holy name and the Supreme Lord. That's the understanding of the peace formula. So with this we come to the end of the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We saw about how one should stay in the world but not be a part of this world. Then we saw about the concept of 3 doers. We saw the concept of equal vision, how the liberated soul sees everyone and every situation in the equal vision. And today we saw the concept of the peace formula. So with this we come to the end of 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita.